Alright, welcome back. So, today we're gonna do some AI. Well, I'm just making it sound cool, but in reality, it's just gonna be an object with AI stuff. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a little enemy right here. I'm just calling him enemy, he's just a placeholder right now. He has eyes, which are gonna be in front, and it's facing the positive Y axis. So, what we're gonna do is we're going to add um, a viewing distance of frustum on his eyes, and if we get inside it, then it's gonna do some AI cool stuff. Okay, Jellyo, I made a little folder here, called it AI, and I have shooter AI inside it. Let's just go in here. We got a public node, main character, we got a private float view distance, and a weight. And then we got bound frustum BF, and a boolean is inside frustum equals to false. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna initialize a few of these. So the view distance is the distance factor, or how far we're gonna be looking at. So I'm gonna make the view distance equal to 15. We're gonna look 15 units away, and then the weight equals to 0. So that gets that. All right. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we're actually going to be recycling some of the old code that we had, right? So if we go here, we got a few code lines here, like this guy here, and this guy here, and even this guy here. We're just going to copy and paste all this. So I'm just going to copy this first. All right. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to paste it here. All right. Now, remember the perspective has that near and far. The far is the 4. In this case, we're going to use the view distance to be our far, so how far we want to look at. Next is the quaternion, and then the view, where we don't have the gun, where we want to look at from a certain perspective, and that's why we have the eyes, which is basically going to be node, so our object, get its child, the first child being the eyes, and we're going to get its world position. So now we're going to be looking from there, and we're going to be facing where we are facing normally. So that goes there, and that goes there. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to render this frustum, and we're going to render it in our visualizer right here. And I'm going to remove that, so now it renders every second, and it's going to be green. Let's just make it black. Look, black just looks cooler for me. Then the next thing we're going to do is the BF equals to new. All right, so we're going to have to do that right here, so we don't call on new every time. BF equals to new with brackets, and just close it, and that's it. So we initialized it once, it's done. So the next thing we're going to do is BF equals to bound frustum, and then just put these brackets, and oh no, I forgot, this is C++. Okay, I mean this is C#, not C++. I am not doing a good time. Okay, bound frustum, and then we're gonna do here, and it's gonna ask for a few things. So we're gonna do this thing, and we're just gonna do this. Now we can just write it, or we can just copy and paste it. So I'm just going to be a little bit smarter and just copy and paste this. So now it is completely correctly inside this. So now what are we going to do in terms of our situation? So what we're going to do is we're going to first check if the main character is inside these bounding areas, right? And if it's inside, then we're going to return true. If not, we're going to return false. So we can just write that right here. If press tab twice, it's going to do that. If and how do we check this before I go on? So inside our bound frustum, we actually have a function called bool inside, checking if the point is inside. So we can just do a simple bf dot inside, right? And we're going to choose the object, which is main character dot world position. So now we have the object inside. So we're going to check if this character is inside. If it is, we're going to do is inside system equals to true, right? And else is inside system equals to false. Okay, so now we got that connected. And okay, so now that we have this connected, let's actually do some AI, right? We need an AI. We need some kind of switch. You got it. All right, so now we have enum current state. Let's just call it enum AI state. And we're going to give it an AI state. And I'm just going to give it a simple few states. We're going to do idle. I'm going to do alert. I'm just going to copy my C++one search and aggressive. Oh yeah, they don't need that. Okay, so now we have all that. And then let's just make an AI state called state, right? And then let's make a little function. Actually, it doesn't really matter if we make a function. We can just keep it like that, right? So anyways, let's also initialize the state. So we go into our state, be like state equals to AI state dot idle. So now we initialized it to be idle, and all right. So now we got that set up. Let's make our function, call it a void AI state. Pretty sure it's going to give me an error. All right, so that's going to give us that. I'm just going to copy and paste this, and we're going to do this check every update. All right, let's save that there. And we're going to do a little switch statement. So I'll just go over here and just write switch, press tab twice, and now it's going to set switch on. We're going to write state, press tab, press down, and now we have all the switch states in our function. So now we're going to actually code the logic behind this. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do for coding? So the way I did it in C++, I'm probably just going to do it the same way here, since I have the weight and everything too, right? So the way we do it is, or the way I was doing it is, we're going to be in idle, and we're going to do some idle things during that time, okay? The moment we get inside this field of vision, we're going to get alerted that there's somebody inside our field of vision. Now, if we stay there long enough, we're going to get into aggressive mode. If we get out of that field of vision in time, we're going to go back to idle. Now, for, let's say we were in idle, we get in vision, and now we're aggressive, okay? So now we're fighting. Now, if it gets to the point where the fighting gets until one of you die, right? But let's say we get to a point where we're out of the finding vision, we go back to search. So now it's going to search for you. And if it gets enough time that they can't find you, it'll go back to idle. But if it manages to search you and finds you, it goes back to aggressive. All right? So that's the basic AI thought process that we're going to do. So how do we do it? Let's start from idle, okay? So let's say we're in idle, which we are right now, and then we get inside our object. So the first thing we're going to do is a simple if statement. So if is inside system, meaning if it's true, then we change state. So state equals to state dot alert. So now we're in alert. And now we got into alert mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to get to a certain point. Until that point, if we cross it, we get it to aggressive. So we're going to use wait for that. So we're going to do wait equals to the math clamp and that. So if we go back into animation controller, I'm pretty sure I had the wait right here. Okay, so we do have it. So we're just going to copy this and paste it, and I'm going to say wait plus equals to game IFPS. So that just increments it by amount, and it's going to say right now it's at wait FPS by a rate of 1 second. So within 1 second we have the ability to get caught. If we get caught, so let's say if weight equals to 1f, so if we get caught, then state equals to AI state dot aggressive. So now it goes into aggression. Okay, so let's go into aggression. All right, so now we're in aggression. Now, let's say we're fighting. We're out of the state of vision. So if we are not inside the frustum, then state equals to state dot search, right? Fair enough. So now we're in state dot search, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop our weight down to 0. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop it down by a rate of, let's say, 5 seconds. So if we say 5 seconds, we're just gonna divide it by 5, meaning it's gonna go 1/5 the speed, so 5 times slower. Okay, so now in 5 seconds, weight is going down. Now, if the weight manages to go to 0f, then state equals to idle. Okay, but if we manage to find him, then state equals to aggressive and reset weight. So weight equals to 1. So in the off chance that he has to do it again, he's gonna have to go back from 1 to 0. So we're just gonna make that minus, right? Because right now, when you're in aggressive, your weight is fully 1. Okay, so that's okay. Now, when we're in state idle, we're gonna have to also lower the weight to 0. And the reason why we're doing that is because when we are in idle and we go to alert, right, it's gonna go up. But let's say we get back down, right? Let's say we get out. So is the weight gonna stay the same? No, it's not. It's supposed to go reset back to 0. So that's what's gonna happen here. So once we're in alert and we get out in time, so let's write that down too. So if we're not is inside frustum, so if we're not in there and weight does not equal to 1, so during the time the weight does not equal to 1, if we're not inside frustum, then state equals to AI state dot idle. So now it goes back to idle. So let's reread this all. So if we're in idle, weight is 0, and if we get inside, it goes to alert, right? So now if alert, it's going up to 1. If we exit it, it's going back to idle, and the number is going back down to 0. Okay, but if we manage to get it all the way to 1, it goes aggressive. All right, so now if in aggressive we leave it, it goes to search, and now it's searching in 5 seconds. If it manages to find you again, then it's going to go back to aggressive and reset the weight. But if it does not manage to find you, then it goes to idle, and we repeat this over and over again. Now, this is cool and all, but we have one more thing to do, and that is during the alert session. We can't have a consistent alert timing. So if you're far away and you're looking, it should take you 1 second. But if you're close by and you're right in front of his face, it should take you less than a millisecond for him to realize that he's right in front of you. So we're gonna do that, and the way we're gonna do that is we're just going to make over here inside our little thing, we're gonna do a float distance, and we're gonna make it equal to math dot I wonder if it's in math or math lib distance. Okay, so it's in math lib dot distance, and it's gonna ask for 2 vectors. So we're gonna do node dot world position, and we're going to do main character dot world position. So now this gets us the distance. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have let's see. We might as well make one more variable over here in the float, and we call it distance ratio. Okay, and the distance ratio equals to the distance that we found. So it equals to this distance divided by the total view distance that we have. So that gives us our view distance. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go into divide it by that distance ratio. So now when you're far away and that distance is close to the viewing distance, it's going to take the full 1 second. But now if you're really close by, the distance is going to, the answer is going to be very small, and divided by a small number equals to a very big number, so it's going to get faster. So it's an inverse thingy. So now that we have this going on for us, let's just write a log message, right? So all right, now that we have our log messages, let's play this out and see how it works. So now that we're here, we got our idol, and he's just chilling inside our boy. So now that we can definitely change this, but let's go. So if we get inside, it's on alert, and if we get out, he's back to idle. So he didn't notice you going off. Now if I were to just stay there for a while, now he's in aggro mode. So now he's supposed to do aggro things, right? So now you're in this aggro state. Now if I leave this, he's going to be searching. So have 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, he's going to go back to idle. But let's go back inside here. We're on alert, and now we're aggro. Let's go back out and then go back in, right? He's back to aggro. Okay, perfect. So now we get out. He's in search, and he is in idle. Now remember how I was far away. Oh my. Remember how I was far away, and the what's it called? It took forever to get into idle. But let's say if we were to get close by, he went aggro immediately. Right? So look at that. Aggro immediately. He just got into aggro. Okay, and now he's searching within 5 seconds, and I'm idle. But now let's say if I'm far away, it took him a while longer to get to aggro. Okay, so that's doing fine, and we can see how much it actually allocated. Not bad, except that one's a bit we'll fix that later. But anyways, so now we got our AI. So what we're gonna do next is actually add like logic. So for idle is gonna be, he's gonna move from like one spot to another spot, just chilling around, patrolling the area. And alert would be like he would stop, stare at you for a bit, and try to find you. Now, if you get out, he's gonna go back to patrolling. If not, he's gonna go aggro, which means he's gonna run to you and shoot you, or try to shoot you until you die or something. Next, if you manages to lose from his sight, he's gonna find your last position that you were. All right, and that position, then he's gonna go search or look that area or go to it and check it out. So for that, I might as well make it like 20 seconds or something. And then he's just gonna search around that area. If he can't find you, he's gonna go back to idle or something like that. So yeah, that's it for basics of AI. I will see you guys next time. All right, until then, goodbye.